Axolotl, also known as Mexican walking fish, are the stars of today's episode. And we'll be answering the question, why axolotls never grow up. You might think that they simply grow up to be huge and stay huge, but actually their story is way more interesting than that. They grow up to be huge, but then they stop. To understand why that is, we have to look at two things, neoteny and metamorphism. The first one, neoteny, is not only exclusive to the axolotl, but it's also responsible for many other creatures staying childlike in appearance into adulthood. So let's start with that. Neoteny comes from the Greek word neos, meaning new, and telos, meaning end. It's the retention of juvenile traits by an organism in its adult stage. A good example of this is the common domestic dog, Canis familiaris. Dogs retain many puppy-like features such as floppy ears and playful energy throughout their lives. If you've ever had a dog or currently do, you know exactly what I mean. Or maybe you can look at your pet dog right now. The reason for this is that dogs have undergone domestication by humans. Over thousands of years, we selectively bred them to retain these cute puppy characteristics into adulthood, which has resulted in neotenic dogs like the ones we see today. We did this because who doesn't love a cute puppy? And it's no different with the axolotl. Throughout history, they've retained their larval features into adulthood. But unlike dogs, this happens naturally. So let's take a closer look at how that works. Axolotls go through metamorphosis like all amphibians. This is the process where they go from egg to tadpole to adult. During this time, their bodies change drastically to enable them to live both in water and on land. Many parts of their body change shape and form new limbs while their tails get smaller. In some cases, like with the axolotl, the process doesn't go quite to completion. That's the case for our friend here. See, his tail is still too big. It looks like he needs to keep growing, and that's because he is. The thing is, he's not growing in the same way as other salamanders do. Let me explain. While most salamanders undergo full metamorphosis, the axolotl goes through something called arrested development. When this happens, their growth slows down significantly, yet they continue to develop, albeit very slowly. This means they have the chance to keep growing, but at a pace much slower than other salamanders. And unlike other salamanders, they can continue growing even after reaching sexual maturity. Some salamanders will only live to be 2 or 3 years old, but axolotls have been recorded to live between 10 to 15 years. By slowing down their growth so much, it results in adults that still have larval characteristics, such as their external gills, which allow them to breathe underwater, and their tail shape, which helps them steer while swimming. These features make them unique among other salamanders and highlight how special these little guys are. But it gets even crazier. Their incredible ability to keep growing without stopping is caused by their slow metabolism. You see, when animals grow, they need a lot of energy, and the only way to get that energy is by eating. Salamanders that go through normal growth eat more than those that experience arrested development. So axolotls don't need as much energy to grow. To meet their needs, they eat less than other salamanders, and therefore spend less energy. And guess what? That makes them super efficient. Their ability to eat less while still growing gives them a survival advantage. In times of food scarcity, they're more likely to survive than other salamanders. Now, that's what I call smart. Okay, so we understand neoteny, but there's another term we used earlier, metamorphism. And although these terms are often used interchangeably, they have distinct meanings. Metamorphism is the retention of juvenile characteristics in adult organisms. But unlike neoteny, it includes changes in the rate and timing of development. In simpler terms, it's like neoteny's cooler older brother. Both can result in an animal keeping its childhood looks into adulthood, but metamorphism has more tools to achieve this outcome. It's kind of like having a toolbox with more options. To illustrate this, let's look at two species of ambystoma, the tiger salamander and the axolotl. As we mentioned before, the axolotl keeps its larval features due to neoteny. On the other hand, the tiger salamander exhibits paedomorphism. Tiger salamanders are born without external gills, unlike axolotls. Instead, they develop internal gills before transitioning to lungs as they mature. This change from gills to lungs is part of their adaptation to life both in and out of water. But some tiger salamanders retain their gills even after reaching sexual maturity, which is a form of paedomorphism. The cool thing about these two species is that they can interbreed and produce offspring. However, Offspring from two pedomorphic parents don't always display pedomorphism themselves. They may exhibit neoteny instead. Scientists believe that the axolotl evolved from a population of tiger salamanders that experienced significant changes in their developmental rates. What's amazing is that these changes didn't require any genetic mutations. It was just a shift in the expression of existing genes, which leads us to wonder if the axolotl is a separate species or just a variant of the tiger salamander. The answer isn't straightforward, and scientists are still debating. But it's not only tiger salamanders that play a role in the origin of the axolotl. The A. mexicanum, which is the scientific name for the axolotl, was thought to arise from a hybrid between two other ambystoma species, Ambystoma tigrinum and Ambystoma velaschi. It's believed that the axolotl formed naturally in Lake Xochimilco and Lake Chalco in Mexico, where its ancestors could still be found today. These lakes acted as a sort of natural aquarium where unique variations like the axolotl could thrive. Unfortunately, due to human activities, these lakes have shrunk drastically in size, endangering the axolotl's habitat. But let's get back to our topic. Unlike the axolotl, the mud puppy is an example of an animal that does not exhibit neoteny or pedomorphism. Mud puppies undergo complete metamorphosis, transforming from aquatic larvae into terrestrial adults. They have a typical salamander-like appearance with well-developed lungs for breathing on land. And finally, there's another fascinating aspect to the axolotl story, their genetic makeup. Researchers compared their genome with other ambystoma species and discovered a gene called OTOP3, which plays a role in hearing. This gene is present in both axolotls and tiger salamanders, but it's inactive in the axolotl. Interestingly, when scientists reactivated this gene, the axolotl's behavior changed. They became more active during the day and less active at night. This suggests that this gene influences their daily activity patterns. But wait, there's more. Studies have shown that the A. mexicanum has 32 chromosomes, while other ambystoma species typically have 20 to 28. The extra 4 chromosomes are thought to have originated from an ancient hybridization event. These extra chromosomes contain approximately 300 additional genes compared to ambystoma tigrinum. While the specific function of these genes is still unknown, researchers believe they might play a role in regulating neoteny, possibly by affecting the expression of genes related to development and growth. Further research is underway to unravel the mysteries of these genes and their impact on the axolotl's unique characteristics. If you've made it this far, I applaud you. Keep up the great work. And thank you for watching. Also, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you can be the first to watch our future videos. Take care and see you next time.